People keep asking me what are the virtues of a good investor or a great investor, and I have to draw upon all my experience of reading, writing, talking to people, talking even to fund managers, to find out what are really the virtues of great investors. So whether it is Charlie Munger or whether it is Warren Buffett, one thing very clearly they do is they read a lot. So I do think reading helps. And what should you read? I think you should read right from anthropology to zoology. What you read is very can be a very wide range, because you can pick up something from somewhere and apply it to, for example, a lot of food based learning you can apply to your investing. For example, dal chawal is the index fund, right? So if you are very clear that you want very simple bland dal chawal, so having dal chawal, sleeping early, getting up in the morning, going for a walk, this combination will give you good health. You don't need to do anything dramatic, right? You don't need to run half marathon every week or something like that to have a great health. So even doing these simple things. So first of all, I think simplicity of saying I don't want a very complicated process, but I will be curious to know what is happening. For example, I have a friend who will pick up some young boy or girl and say, tell me what is happening in technology, right? He works in a big company. So some new kid he'll pick up and say, tell me what is happening in technology, what is the latest phone that you have, what is the latest phone I should buy, what are the features that I should use. He picks up the kid from his own office and he talks about it. So there is some curiosity in knowing what is happening and how to use new things, right? So what is the point in buying a phone for 1.5 lakhs if you don't even know how to use it, or buying a camera for 3.5 lakhs and not knowing how to use it? There's no purpose, right? So some curiosity in knowing what is happening in the world and how you can make money using that knowledge, right? So people have to be a little curious about everything that they do, but not all your investing is going to happen there. Maybe 90% of your investment or 95% of your income investment is already in listed companies, so there it doesn't help. But if you are a personal investor as a VC or something, keeping yourself abreast of technology is very useful. What are the other things that one has to look for? One has to be extremely skeptical about what the promoter tells you. We have to understand certain things. Every fund manager by nature is an optimist. He thinks that the future is going to be more assets for him, so he cannot take a view which says redeem from the fund house. So every fund manager, CEO, CIO, CMO, whatever you want to call them, will be optimistic, and they will say, no, I'm cautiously optimistic, or things like that. So when a fund manager says I'm cautiously optimistic, it does not mean anything to you. You have to decide how the market is going to be. If you have money for the long run, you should be investing. If you have money for the short run, you should not be investing. For example, our portfolios have to be ready for a 2024 BJP not getting more than 150 seats. Can it happen? Well, it has happened in the past. BJP shining didn't work for Mr. Vajpayee. So are we ready for such things? So being ready for the market crashing 20% or 30%, you have to be always ready. Sometimes it will crash. March 2020 it crashed. Gave a fantastic opportunity to buy, but the question is how strong are you to buy at that stage, right? So the question is, you have to be a little skeptical about whatever fund managers tell you, whatever promoters of companies tell you, and whatever data that you get, you should update your beliefs. For example, if somebody tells me this fund manager is taking too much risk, is building a bad portfolio, or she's not getting money now, there are problems in the fund, you should listen instead of falling in love with the fund house or with the fund manager or the process or whatever. So be skeptical about all the data that you get. Be skeptical about the audited balance sheet that you get. This I have seen, because very many big investors would look at data and say ये तो झूठ है, इतना तो नहीं हो सकता है, you know, they are bluffing. For example, I had a client who could walk into a factory which was making clothes, and he used to be a very, very big buyer, 7 containers and 8 containers kind of, is a big exporter. He could walk into a factory and find out how many shirts they are capable of making, and if that fellow said he has got 400 employees, he would just accept it as face value. then he would walk down to the neighboring chai ka dukan and ask इस हर रोज कितना चाय जाता है, सुबह को कितना, शाम को कितना जाता है, or something like that. And try to collect data from completely unexpected sources. Speaking to vendors to know whether payment is being made on time is very easy, but you have to do all that when you're doing research. You have to be skeptical. The one solid advantage we have as independent investors is we are not biased. For example, one fund house or rather one bank was selling one particular fund house, and I found it quite intriguing, and when I asked them, they said no, we are hoping to get some mandate from them for doing something. I don't want to get into more details, but so there is always a conflict of interest when somebody else is selling something to you. When you are independent, if somebody comes and tells me buy this particular equity share, I have to be skeptical as to why is he telling me, or why is she telling me, why now, is somebody else trying to buy, or is somebody else trying to sell. For example, I got a research report saying Coal India worth selling at 210, and the minute I got the report, I called up another broker. He said yeah, that brokerage house is trying to buy shares, and therefore this report has come, right? So I had no clue. So unless you know what is really happening, and at 210 I thought it was a fantastic dividend yield. I think 10% dividend yield on Coal India. No way how I would have sold. I actually went and bought, and today I think it is at 230, right? So the question is, when somebody tells you something, find out what that person is trying to say. See where the money is coming for that person, right? So you have to be skeptical about everything and everybody. So in 2001, right, Twin Tower blast, when the blast happened, Mr. Warren Buffett says the next thing would be chemical warfare, which terrorists would launch. Terrorists have not yet launched, but can you imagine how much money would have been made in reinsurance underwriting from 2001 to 2023? You have got a right and duty to be skeptical about anybody making any statement, whether it is some big bankers coming and saying that the dollar is going to weaken and the rupee is going to get stronger. You have to be skeptical about somebody saying the dollar is going for a de-dollarization is happening in the economy. I am not saying yes or no, but I am saying be skeptical. Whatever I tell you, the greatest favor I would have done for you is to watch this video and then say, oh, this is Subra saying, why is Subra saying that? That is exactly what I wanted to do. Be skeptical about anybody telling you anything, and find out whether they have got any. I can now tell you there is no vested interest for me to say please be skeptical, but that is one of the great features of being a good investor. One more thing which I have seen is very useful is humility. You realize many times that you made money by luck rather than money by great effort, right? So when COVID happened, March 2020, I went and bought shares which had fallen the maximum, which meant I could go and buy Indigo, Thomas Cook, Mahindra Holiday Resorts, kind of things which you know that this industry will be doing. And this was before the starting of the COVID protocols. These shares had already fallen. So right, so to me these shares always looked attractive, and when I got a chance to buy it. Why am I saying now? Because when it went up, I sold it also, because and many shares which I bought, I sold off, saying, look, this was an opportunity which I got. This is not a time when I'm going to build my portfolio. So when those shares doubled, some share went up 7 times. I didn't get a chance to sell, but it went up 7 times, right? I'm not naming the share. So some of these things will happen. You will get chances once in a while, but you have to be on ground and realize that, look, this was sheer luck. You had the money. So humility helps, because it keeps you grounded, saying, okay, this I got by luck and this I got by effort. So you will get something by effort and something by luck. When you get it by luck, understand it, you cannot replicate it. So many big investors would be very humble about what they have done, or they would say, what have I done? My father invested, I did not sell. But not selling is a big thing which they did, right? One more thing which I found is Most big investors have a fantastic insurance base. I mean, they are already wealthy, so they've got different sources of income, so they will never be forced to sell equity in distress. This is a very important thing. If you have a good qualification, that's an insurance against unemployment. If you have if you and your spouse both are working, let's say you are earning X amount and she is also earning an X amount, chances are you will never have to dip into your equity in case of an emergency, right? So you can always say some money will be in debt. Your asset allocation, which allows you to sleep well even in a March 2020 kind of a fall, that is what I call insurance. It's not just the life insurance and general insurance that you have, but also the insurance against loss of job, a good relationship, because a divorce can completely ruin your portfolio. So all those things have to be in place for a successful investor. Therefore, the role of luck and humility is very important. The fact that you have a good marriage has also helped you keep your portfolio going strong, right? I was just joking with a friend that in a month, maybe 3 days or 4 days, you should be in Nariman Point gathering all the gossip, and next 26 days you should be in Kodaikanal analyzing all the nonsense that you heard in those 4 days. But if you are not there in the market, you don't hear the noises, and if you are very far away, that is a disadvantage. I remember telling one fund house that your fund managers are so far away from the market that when we kept screaming that Yes Bank is a bad buy, your fund managers did not even hear us, forget listening to us, right? So these things happen. So there are always advantages of being in the market and listening to what people are saying. And like Warren Buffett sitting in Omaha and saying, I don't want any noise to disturb me. The question is, how do you handle the noise rather than I don't want any noise? Because without noise you will not know which promoter is doing. So somewhere I draw the line. I think you need the combination. You need to have your ear on the ground, but you also need to be able to sit in one faraway location and sit and think about it, or go for morning long walks without your phone, which is the time when you're processing all the nonsense that you hear from the market. You need to do both, because there's one share which I sold at a very high price and I wanted to buy back. When I checked out with a very big fund manager, he said, no, I got major corporate governance issues. That's the only thing I check with fund managers, saying, do you have corporate governance issues here? Now, no fund manager is going to tell you that he's got corporate governance issues in PSU, but for me, every PSU is a corporate governance issue. So it's a this is a private sector company that I'm talking about. And the fund manager told me that, look, I've got corporate governance issues, don't touch. So I did not touch. So another important thing is, most of these guys who have created wealth over 30-40 years know one or two people to whom to speak with, whose job is to say no, right? It is easy to say yes, but you have to be, if you saw, I said you have to be skeptical, you have to look at the accounts and not trust it, right? When you do all that, if you know two people to whom you can talk with, who are maybe there in the industry, who will say, no, I don't like it, or things like that, that's also very useful. Because when I get a tip and somebody says this is worth seeing, I have a look at the small research report which he or she may have made, look at the balance sheet. But before I decide to buy, there are 2-3 people who have to approve and say, well, it doesn't look too bad, or somebody who says, no, this is shit, don't even touch it, right? You need that last minute help from somebody before you act. Thank you.